Sundays have always been sacred to me. It gives me a chance to spend time with my family, with my friends, to focus on my faith. And honestly, We Rest on Sundays is a platform that I've created to help you navigate the complexities of the world. I want to spend time having open, honest dialogue with mentors, friends and family, and individuals that I truly believe are exceptional. We're going to focus on love, career, marriage, parenting, and everything in between. And the primary goal here is for us to become the better versions of ourselves every single day. I want to thank you for tuning in. I'll see you on Sunday. Awesome. Morgan, thank you so much for being here today. I'm super excited just to spend some time with you. I'd love to just kick it off by reading a quick letter that I wrote for you and then transition into some questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Morgan, thank you again for being here and for being who you are and for consistently showing up for your friends in the community. Your accolades speak for themselves. You're an ex-Division I full scholarship basketball player who graduated from Clemson with an undergraduate degree in health science and a master's degree in youth leadership and development. You have led an exceptional corporate career in sales for organizations like Fox Sports and most recently FX TV. Okay. You are now stepping into your family's nonprofit, Kids Gym USA, to help advance the legacy of your parents started in serving underserved communities by implementing fitness principles through gymnastics and educational programs. Your work, serving essentially as the head of the board of this phenomenal organization, is nothing short of exceptional. Thank you for being here and thank you for being my friend and coming on the platform.
Wow, thank you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you for that.
My pleasure.
I'm excited to be here.
Great, thank you. Well, tell me and tell the world, who is Morgan?
Who's Morgan Campbell? That's a loaded question. Morgan's a daughter, a sister, an auntie, a leader. She's just a woman out here trying to figure it out, trying to live within the purpose that she believes she's called to be in, and just trying to do it the way that God wants me to.
I'd love to hear that. So tell me more about, you said your purpose and it's very clear just being around Kids Gym and the nonprofit that your family has started. What was it like growing up, with your parents who dedicated their lives to helping underserved and underrepresented communities by teaching kids?
Growing up in that household, I would say it was full of people and full of love. I have 3 siblings, so there's 4 of us, but I also grew up with, I always say this all the time, with 15 other brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So my childhood was when Kids Gym USA Top Gun Tumblers were the most sought after halftime performance act in the country. And so I would say 95% of those young people were from situations that were a lot tougher than mine. And so my parents were parent figures to them, guardians to them. They opened up our home to a lot of them throughout my life. We had plenty of people that lived with us, and I didn't know anything else other than that. And I would say my parents were the true example of what it means to love God and keep Him at the center, but also love your family and your community. And so I would say they are a great example of what that was. So my home, my childhood, my upbringing was just filled with love and serving and just understanding that you were called for something greater.
Yeah, that's great. And it's amazing just to hear, again, like how involved your family was in serving the community at large. And how do you think that impacted your childhood growing up, right? Knowing that like you came from a dual family household where your mother and father were both there and married and still together to today, but I'm sure a lot of the kids that you guys had around the program, around your house, weren't necessarily in that situation. So how do you think that impacted just your life and really how you see the world?
I understood that was a blessing that I couldn't take for granted. And knowing that other people go through situations or don't have the same foundation that I had. My dad always says, to whom much is given, much is required. And so understanding that wasn't always the norm in our community, understanding that it's your responsibility to be a blessing and serve others that come behind you, and know that you're no special and you're no different. And so
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's talk about your basketball journey. So I met you through my fraternity brother, line brother, Mandela, who believes that he's the best basketball player of all time until we met you. So tell me more about just, your matriculation through Clemson and playing D1 basketball and, continuing to really just advance your education in pursuing your master's degree in youth leadership and development. Do you feel like you always knew that you wanted to step into, the nonprofit space as well? And tell me more of just the Clemson College master's degree journey.
yeah, being a Division I basketball player at Clemson was fun, but it was hard. It was hard. I always say this, those 4 years to this point, because, I'm not a mother yet and I'm not a wife, and I believe those are extremely hard jobs. But I would say to this point, those are the toughest 4 years that I've experienced, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And I would say it created a fighter, it created a self-motivator, and it created a leader. And I think going through those 4 years, I came out with the mindset that I could do anything.
Wow. Say more. So about, and the reason why, because selfishly, I have a niece and a nephew that I've talked to you a lot about that play basketball right now, what I believe is a high level, but maybe it's not. We'll see. But just more about playing D1 basketball as a female and the lessons that it taught you. How are you carrying a lot of that into your career now and really navigating, one, you have this amazing corporate career, but then you also have, I would argue a whole nother career in the nonprofit space, with kids gym. So share more about the principles that you learned from playing basketball in college to how you're applying it today.
Yeah, I would say the number one thing that I learned from playing basketball at Clemson was that you get out what you put in. And so there is, especially playing at the Division I level, you have to be really, really good, great in high school to get a full scholarship to play in the ACC. But then there is this difference where there's good players in the ACC and then great players in the ACC. And so that just has a lot to do with the amount of work and time that you put into your skill, put into your academics. And honestly, everybody says this, but the great athletes are built when the lights are off. And are you putting up shots after you've sat through after you literally have practiced for 3 hours on the court, sat through film, lifted weights, conditioned that day, and school? Are you going back to the gym to put up shots after that? And that level takes you from good to great. And so I would say, the biggest thing that I took from all of that was you can determine how your life goes, your path, and the amount of work that you put in will determine how successful you're going to be. And that's with anything, on the court, in the classroom, in your career, all the extra work that you do, all the extra studying to be great in whatever field that you're in. And then now the nonprofit world, because I was completely green when I stepped into the nonprofit world, and I learned as much as I could. I connected with those who were doing the work in the community. I connected with, mentors and people that could just pour into me, and I could take as much information as possible. And also I have two of the best leaders in my realm. It's my mother and father, and just learning as much as I could from them while I just managed through this life.
Yeah, you hit on so many gems right there, right? It's really up to us, how successful and how great you were going to be, right? And it's not only just basketball. It probably started with basketball for you, but in your life and in your career, it's totally up to us how successful we're going to be. So I hope that. I'm definitely going to show this to my niece and my nephew, where I'm like, hey, if y'all want to play basketball in college, this is what it's going to take. But, I hope that other people really understand that, anything is achievable. And that really just pushed me to the next area that I want to just ask you about is talk to me more about, you navigating being a Black woman in sales in corporate America.
Yeah, that was interesting because I came from a world where basketball, we are the majority a lot of time. And stepping into a world where I knew nothing, and I was just literally trying it out because my basketball career ended through injury. And then, you know, what do you do when you're an athlete? You're like, oh, I'm a coach. So I jumped right into coaching, not realizing that that wasn't what I really wanted to do. It's just what I thought I should do. And I did that. And I was always, you know, I was safe and I was comfortable in that environment. I knew that environment. And then transitioning over to Fox Sports, really, honestly, it was just God, because I took a position as an office assistant that I almost didn't.
Wow.
Because I felt like, I have my master's, I have
Yeah.
something, like, I'm not about to answer doors and answer the phone. But the GM was just like, just be open to it. I was like, all right. So little did I know that was a door that would be kicked wide open just by taking that first step. And I started off answering the door and creating relationships with everybody. And then literally 4 months after that, the VP of sales came to me and was like, hey, join my team. And I'm like, I know nothing about sales. And he was like, I'll teach you. And so I jumped in head first. And when I tell you he taught me, he taught me. And so I did that. I was his coordinator for a few months, jumped into a planner, and then literally maybe like 6 to 8 months after that, I was running the whole national sales department.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And so I would say my experience was a little bit unique in the sense of like, that doesn't happen all the time. And I was elevated pretty quickly. But once I got into that position, being the only was rough, because now I am traveling across the country, and I'm, at that time at Fox Sports, I was the only Black person in my position too. So I'm female and I'm the only Black person. And so I'm going into New York and LA and I'm the boss. And then everybody in the room that I'm speaking to does not look like me, and a lot of males too. So I got my fair share. I got my fair share, but just listening to, you know, just always being reminded of what my dad always said, to whom much is given, much is required, because I knew there was always something bigger. I knew like this wasn't the end all be all for me. I didn't know what was next, but I knew that like whatever I was going to do, I was going to take it very graciously and hold my head high. At the end of the day, they can't do nothing to me that I don't allow. Yeah,
that's amazing. And that's a part of your story that I personally didn't know either. I didn't realize that you came in basically as an admin, and I just thought it was sales like out the gate.
No.
So that's super inspiring to hear, because I mean, obviously it had to be God as well telling you take the leap of faith, right? Like just try it out, we'll see. Doesn't mean you're gonna be in the space forever, but I think, I don't know, I'll just speak for like a lot of things that I feel like I'm seeing today is like, Millennials, like we can lack patience sometimes, and we want and expect things right now, and I can be guilty of it as well. I am just now, and I just turned 36, I'm just now at a point in my life where I feel like, Ben, it's all good, be patient. It's all good, be patient. I was so stuck on this director title all of last year, and I was like, what, why? Like why? And now, like getting out of that space and like trusting God and trusting the process, I'm seeing all of these new paths and opportunities open up, and it sounds like you did the same thing. So I just appreciate you sharing that, because I don't know, it's another sign that makes me feel even better about just being patient and being comfortable in my current space and, you know, and doing my thing. So thank you for sharing that. My next question, just what inspires you? You know, I know right now you are, hopefully I'm not spilling any beans with this question, but dabbling and going back and forth between, you know, your corporate job and thriving and doing really well in that space, but then also like really like stepping in and being the next wave and generation of your family's nonprofit. So how are you thinking through maybe potentially pivoting out of corporate to pursue that 100%, and or just like navigating the life of how to advance that to the next big thing or big space or big, you know, avenue of where you guys want to take Kids Gym?
Yeah, how am I navigating that? I'm still trying to figure that out. But I do know one thing. I believe that the nonprofit world is who I was created to be and what I was created to do. I'm the daughter of 2 nonprofit leaders, and for the longest I tried to run from the nonprofit space.
Wow.
I grew up watching my parents work extremely hard, work long hours, and we all know that the compensation doesn't always meet the work that you give and the impact that you make. And so for me personally, I was like, nope, I want nothing to do with that. I ran from it. And then, you know, reckoning happens and God's like, yeah, okay, you're not in control of this. Let me show you. And so for me, just trying to navigate that jump between two and when I'll decide and what that looks like. I'm just waking up every day and putting one foot in front of the other. And I'm just learning to just jump out there and fly and know that I have a strong community. I have strong friends. I have parents. I have people that will catch me if I fall, because there will be times that I will fall. But you got to jump. And those times that I don't fly, I'll fly. I don't fall, I'll fly.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trusting and just having faith that when the time comes, I'll make the right decision. And I believe that that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm just waiting to hear when I should move.
Yeah, that's good. And stand in prayer is what it sounds like. That's good, Morgan. Really good. How do you plan, you know, balance and really just like work-life balance, right? Like sales is tough.
Yeah.
And there's travel, there are demands and needs of your customers, and like at the end of the day, you were selling, and then also, you know, I personally know in the nonprofit space right now, like you're trying to raise capital,
Yeah.
right? Like, and that's tough, and it's demanding, and it's daunting, and it's grueling, and you're always asking for more from not just friends and family, but from these corporations. You know, even before we got on camera, we started talking about, hey, have you reached back out to this person, right, in this space, and I know that's taxing, right? So how are you really balancing a work-life balance and like really taking care of yourself, you know, within all of these different hats that you currently wear?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I believe right now I'm not doing a good job of that. But I also understand that I'm in the season where I really, really got to hone in on the goals at hand. You're right, sales is getting crazy because advertising, just the whole economy, right? The world is changing. And so people aren't spending as much money on advertising as they normally would, right?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, one of my largest clients is Chevrolet. Well, if people aren't purchasing cars right now, then there's no money to advertise. And so just trying to be creative in the way of maintaining my book of business, growing that has been a lot. And then at the same time, you know, we're in the middle of this capital campaign to raise $4.3 million so the Kijum legacy can continue to grow and thrive and elevate. So I would say both of those things have a lot of my focus right now, but I'm okay with that because I believe like that's the season that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
And I know the people that love me, my friends, my circle, they understand that too. And so I think it's important to have people in your corner that understand what you got going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like they understand if I'm not around, and then they, you know, welcome me with arms when I do come around because I just am locked in right now.
Yeah, love to hear it. As somebody where it's easy for me to lock in and go in that hole for a little bit and, you know, come out when I need to come back out. So know that I'm here to support you, and, you know, my family, we're here to support you as well as much as we can in this journey, because I know that it's a lot of hard work and honestly like thankless hours that you have to put in, right? Similar to what you said, in order to become a D1 athlete, like it's about what you do when the lights are not on. And it's the same, I think, for the nonprofit space. Like, what are you doing when the lights are not on? It's not all about getting on stage and winning awards and being invited to these dinners and banquets. It's like, no. What are you doing when it's quiet, nobody else is around you, when one organization tells you no, when you thought that they were gonna give you a big check? And I think that you're just continuing to lead with grace. So I hope that you feel that. I hope that you are proud of yourself every single day, because it's meaningful and it's fascinating to be a part of the journey as well as your friend. So again, just thank you for what you are doing. But it does tap me into the next question. Tell me more about what you see for the future for Kids Gym under your leadership.
Yeah, my vision for Kids Gym is big. It's big. Step one right now is getting our own facility. And in this facility, it's going to be more than just gymnastics. We're looking at this as a full community, like safe haven in a sense. Gymnastics is still going to be who we are. That is our bread and butter. That is why we have impacted over 100,000 children to this date. But one thing that I want to do is impact the family as a whole, because we only have these children for 1 hour a week. And then they go home to environments that we know nothing about, right? And so making sure that we're equipping the families that these children go home to with resources and information and love is so important for us too. So in this facility, yes, we're gonna have gymnastics, but it's also about exposing children to different experiences outside of the typical football and basketball that are in our neighborhoods. So in this facility, we're gonna have dance and yoga, karate. We're partnering with an organization called Protots, where the owner is, providing toddlers speed and agility training, right? Because, including all of this together, we're going to be a one-stop shop for all of these children in our neighborhoods that look like us, that wouldn't have the opportunity anywhere else. In regards of impacting the families, we're going to have mental health, influences. We're going to have financial literacy opportunities, healthy eating habits opportunities, and then also it's going to be an opportunity for us to collaborate with different partners and programs and bring everything in-house. And so that's step one, getting that up and running prayerfully by, I'll put it out there, 2026. That's the goal. Yep. 2026. And then from there, I don't want to just stop at one, because every neighborhood with children that don't have the resource, don't have the access, they need opportunity to know that there's life beyond what they can see. And so giving that to children is my dream, it's my passion, it's my desire.
I love to hear, and boy, do I wish that Kids Gym was a thing in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, where I'm from. But again, I think that's what makes it very easy to stay connected with this nonprofit and to continue to try to help you guys navigate the next chapter of what this may be. I guess, you set this big daunting goal of 2026 is what we're going after. Just tell let's also speak it into existence, what is it going to take to get there, right? You mentioned the 4.3 million that you guys are trying to raise right now for, the acquisition of a new building. Can you break down a little bit more of a perfect 2025, what will it take for us to get to that vision?
Yeah, I definitely can. So right now we're in due diligence. And so prayerfully, with due diligence up, we will go to the table to purchase the building outright. So the first milestone is $1.8 million.
Okay.
And from there, we will start renovations Q2 of 2025. And renovations right now, we're working on our project management crew is working on the exact specifics in regards of the CAD report and the programming. So we know exactly to the dollar what it's going to cost us, but we're expecting anything ranging from $1.2 to $1.7 million right now. And so the plan is to finance that while we're still fundraising to completely pay off everything. And then from there, the goal is to have additional funds to help us with programming for the next 6 months. And so 2026 is the goal for opening. By 2028, we're expecting to be a full-fledged, thriving, $1.5 million operating nonprofit.
Wow. I don't know if you feel this, Morgan, but it is very clear to me that this is your calling and your purpose, because it just exudes out of your pores. And to me, that's really, really meaningful. And I'm not saying, because you have bills to pay and everything else, right? So I'm not saying leave your corporate career today, but the however for me is hearing you talk about it more and more and more, boy, is it easy for me to be super, super invested in Kids Gym. And I hope that that's a large part of my motivation to want to actually spend time with you and interview you is I want other people to see and experience Morgan as well, and really take the time to go and learn more about Kids Gym, because it's meaningful to underserved and underrepresented communities. It just is. And then you have a Mustang like yourself that's stepping in to pull in the right resources, and you're not afraid to ask, right? And I think that's the sales career also, that it gave you that okay, you close one door, I'll open up the next door. So it's just really fascinating to see, and I hope that you just feel encouraged by, I really believe that this is your purpose and your calling, and the when it happens and when you make the shift, it will happen on God's timing. But I continue to feel very, very sure that that's the direction that you should be, going with your career. It's inspiring to see, to say the least.
I agree. And like, just to show how like God like works everything out, because I would have never in a million years thought I would go into sales, because I remember the GM asking me, okay, what do you want to do? And I was like, oh, I want to be on air, right? Like, I know basketball, I can talk about it. Of course I want to do that, right? And then God was like, huh. So jumped into sales. And then as I really started learning how to sell and how to position and how to pitch all this stuff, one day during 2020, it dawned on me, this is why I was being equipped to learn how to sell, because now I'm going to have to pitch Kids Gym and sell Kids Gym. And so now this is something I'm extremely passionate about. I have the tools. I now have the network and the resources and the connections. It's up.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah, that's good. Really good. Just a few more quick questions for you before we wrap. But how has your journey from D1 basketball player to corporate success really shaped your view and your purpose and how you get fulfillment out of life?
Sports is huge. I think there are so many life lessons that come through playing a team sport or an individual sport, right? And so I think my career at Clemson was amazing. It taught me a lot of things about myself. It taught me a lot of things about teamwork. It taught me a lot of things about authority. And so putting all of those pieces together, and transitioning into the corporate world, into my professional life, has been nothing short but just a perfect alignment, because I believe everything honestly starts with sports. Yep. Sports is a huge piece of my life, and there's a lot of things that I'm learning as I am venturing up into the corporate world, is that a lot of directors, SVPs, they all come from a sports background, just because of the skills and just the lessons that you learn playing sports. It just can't be replicated, and it just instills in you, and it just gives you this fire that just continues to translate and continues to evolve through whatever phase of life that you're in.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing that. I totally agree with you. I think for me, especially at work, it's like you give me somebody that played sports growing up, team sports, I'm like, oh, I can teach them. Like, we'll figure this thing out. Or they can be coached, or, and I feel the same for me as well. It's like, I believe that I'm a coachable person. I think it probably really correlates to playing sports growing up. So I'm a huge advocate for it. We have the 2 little ones at home, and we're trying to keep them in sports. And obviously Benjamin's only 1, so he's not really doing too much of anything right now. But Tatum, will swim and soccer and all the things. But that's really, really good to hear. My last question for you: what legacy do you hope to build for the next generation?
The legacy that I hope to build. I hope that I do what my mother did for me. She showed me as a woman that you can be a mother, you can be a wife, and you can be a boss all at the same time. And one doesn't have to lack, because another thing is more important at the time, right? Like, God created women especially to be so powerful. And I want to teach the next group of women that tapping into your power is okay. And it's okay to be a boss. It's okay to be a mom. It's okay to be a wife. You can be all 3 and be great at all 3. And just really tapping into who you are and who God's created you to be. It's something that I love to leave behind to all the women coming behind me.
That's great, Morganne. I couldn't be any more grateful that God has put you in my life, and you've been an amazing friend. You've been somebody that I really, really look up to and respect as a leader in the community, and it challenges me every single day to do more, because as you know, in corporate America, it's very easy to get lost in your career and in your thing, and you're trying to scale and grow and do more within your your own career, but ultimately that's selfish. And whether you know it or not, you continue to challenge me every single day, where I feel like I'm dropping the ball most of the times over here when it comes to Kids Gym. And that's not intentionally, but it's legitimately because it's man, between raising 2 kids, being married to a wife that has a thriving career, having my own career, where's the time? But again, even in this sit down, it forces me to know that like, no, there's more that I can be given and that I need to be given and that I should be given for the community. Because the kids that you guys had around you in your house and in the program, like that was very much me and my sisters, you know, when we were growing up. So it's very, very needed, very, very important. And I'm just grateful that God has created individuals like you to continue to serve and lead in ways that we need it. So thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you. And the same goes for you. I'm definitely thankful to be in your orbit.
I appreciate it.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you.